When a talent like Keon Coleman becomes available in the transfer portal, you call him, right? Or does Michigan contacting Keon Coleman mean something more? Does it mean that this Michigan Wolverines wide receiver room needs a boost headed into the 2023 season? Before we get into that, just a reminder to hit subscribe if you haven't already. Big Ten content all offseason long. Always crush that like button to spread the word of Big Ten Ted to the masses. Make no mistake about it. When Keon Coleman is out there, you pick up the phone and you call him. I don't care what your wide receiver room looks like, because Keon Coleman is as good as it gets in college football at his position. I don't care if you're Michigan. I don't care if you're Bama. I don't care if you're Georgia. I don't care who you are. You call Keon Coleman to make your team better. That's what you do. It's a best player available mentality that a lot of times you see in the NFL draft. That's the type of talent that Keon Coleman is. So Michigan and Jim Harbaugh contacting Keon Coleman doesn't really surprise me. They want to improve their team. They want to be the best team possible, and bringing in a talented guy like Keon Coleman would do exactly that. Here's another thing. If Keon Coleman were to make his way to Ann Arbor, Michigan, he would be the number one wide receiver. That's how talented he is. But I'm not sure if the maize and blue are the most attractive option for Keon Coleman, knowing that the focal point of their team and the focal point of their offense is their physicality, is their offensive line, and of course, is that running game with those two great backs in the backfield. So I'm not sure if Keon Coleman would maybe get everything that he wants out of his final times in college playing football at Michigan. I think he might want to go somewhere where they throw it around maybe a little bit more. But having Keon Coleman at Michigan, oh baby, could you imagine the weapons, the arsenal of weapons that Michigan would have now having a guy like him on the perimeter? But let's answer the question that is within the question, so to speak, that's within the statement of Michigan going out and looking at Keon Coleman. Does this Michigan wide receiver room need a boost? I don't think they do. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I think them contacting Keon Coleman is them doing their due diligence to try to improve as a football team. Best player available. You have to have that mindset in today's modern day age of the transfer portal and college football. Let's take a look at the Michigan wide receiver room and why I think they're sitting pretty good headed into 2023. First of all, you've got Cornelius Johnson. He led Michigan in touchdowns last season, caught 6 touchdown passes, and he's been in this system and he's made contributions the last couple of seasons. And then you pair him with Roman Wilson. You got a couple of veterans in the 1-2 spot, the X and Z, so to speak, for Michigan. Roman Wilson and Cornelius Johnson combined for 10 receiving touchdowns last season. These guys are going to be able to step in now that they are the focal point in the passing game. You're really going to see how good Cornelius Johnson and Roman Wilson are. Now, those are the veterans. And those are the guys that a lot of people, maybe outside Big Ten circles, are going to have their eye on. But there are 2 true sophomores that are poised to really break out in this passing game as well. I look at Tyler Morris and Darius Clemens. These were both top 150 guys in the class of 2022, both 4-star players, both very talented, and both had really good springs, both developing that chemistry with J.J. McCarthy. Remember that touchdown catch in the back of the end zone? Darius Clemens in the spring game getting over the top of the defense, hauling it in on a great throw. You see the talent that Darius Clemens has. Darius Clemens maybe a little bit bigger, Tyler Morris maybe a little bit smaller, but he's got some speed and some jets to him as well. These are 2 guys that are going to burst onto the scene. If you don't know the names Tyler Morris and Darius Clemens, you're gonna get to know the names of Tyler Morris and Darius Clemens. You're throwing a guy like Peyton OLeary as well, who is probably the MVP of the spring game. This is a guy that has waited his turn, and now it's finally time for Peyton OLeary. I see him as a guy on a 3rd and 6, and he runs that out route, that slant route, and a back-breaking first down against the opposing defense, and he continues to move the chains. I look at him, from the NFL, that New England Patriots, the Julian Edelman type, the Wes Welker type, where he just finds a way to continue to get open. That's what I see out of Peyton OLeary. I haven't even touched the tight end room. In the spring game, you saw Colston Loveland split out some in the slot. I could very well see some 11 personnel where you got Roman Wilson out there, you got Cornelius Johnson out there, and you line up Colston Loveland in the slot and create a matchup problem for some of these smaller defensive backs. And Colston Loveland can move pretty good and run pretty good routes as well. And then you throw in A.J. Barner just next to the offensive tackle, the three-point stance at the typical Y, the typical tight end position. That could be a dangerous package, a dangerous formation. Colston Loveland will be one of the best tight ends possibly in America, definitely in the Big Ten Conference this season. This Michigan wide receiver room, the Michigan passing game looks good. Considering this is an offense that wants to be physical and run the ball, the Michigan wide receivers, the Michigan pass catchers are going to have favorable matchups. Contacting a guy like Keon Coleman, it's just trying to dip your toe in the water, throw your line out, and see if you catch something big. It's nothing more than that. I don't think there's problems. I don't think the Michigan wide receiver room maybe needs a big-time boost. This is a passing game that maybe even could surprise some people how good they could be in 2023. I want to hear your thoughts. What do you guys think? Do you think Michigan needs a guy like Keon Coleman? Do they need a star wide receiver in this offense? Or like me, do you think they're going to be just fine? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm Big Ten Ted. We will see you in the next one.